Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats.
Thank you, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started. Appreciate the exuberance in the room. We're going to try to get everyone started on time so we can get out of here on time. I appreciate that. Thank you. Great. Good afternoon, Port of LA. Good afternoon. We're going to try this one more time. Everyone, please take your seats. About to start the program. Thank you very much. We appreciate the enthusiasm, and we're going to go ahead and get started right now. Good afternoon. People can please take their seats. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. We are beginning shortly.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Mike Jacob with the Pacific Merchant Shipping Association, and welcome to the 10th annual State of the Port Luncheon. We appreciate the excitement and exuberance in the room. And so we're going to start off with a safety briefing from our LA Port Police officer. Please welcome Officer Zobish to provide us with a safety briefing. Thank you.
Good morning. For your safety, please listen carefully to the following instructions. If there is an emergency and you are asked to evacuate, please follow the instructions of the uniformed officers. They will direct you out of the building if necessary. Do not use the elevators. We will also request that during the event, that all conversations be kept to a minimum so as not to disrupt the event. Also, please refrain from blocking exits. Please silence all electronic devices. Thank you.
Thank you, Officer Zobish. It's always good to get a crowd that's riled up to calm down when you have someone with a uniform and a gun on stage, so I appreciate that. Again, I'm Mike Jacob with the Pacific Merchant Shipping Association. It's my privilege to welcome you to the 10th annual State of the Port. It has been a fantastic 10-year run with Executive Director Soroka, and we are very, very pleased to have you here today. This is our largest event in our 10 years. We have nearly 650 people here today, and we really appreciate all of the dedication to this event. Before we start, I'd like to also recognize a few of our special guests and dignitaries who are here, and I want to start with a special thank you to the harbor commissioners that are here from the LA Board of Harbor Commission and for their support for this event, starting with Commission President, Honorable Lucille Roybal-Allard. Thank you, Commission President. Commissioner Ed Renwick is here today. Yeah, Commissioner, thank you. Commissioner Lee Williams. Thank you, Commissioner. And our newest Commissioner, Yolanda De La Torre. Thank you. Congratulations on your appointment. Thank you for joining us today. We also have a couple folks to give a special welcome to, including some former elected officials. And I'd like to start with former Congresswoman Grace Napolitano. Thank you, Congresswoman. Amazing 25 years on the Hill and time before that in our state capitol. Thank you very much. Also wanted to introduce former Congressman Mel Levine, who's here. Congressman, thank you. And former U.S. Trade Representative Mickey Cantor is also here. Thank you. We'd like to welcome a few partners in labor and business that were able to join us today too, including our leadership from ILW Locals 63 and 94. Gentlemen, thank you. Appreciate the support. We're also joined from leadership by the California Association of Port Authorities, the California Business Roundtable, and the California Manufacturers Technology Association. Really thank you guys for coming today as well. And without further ado, I'd also like to introduce our leader from the 15th Council District here in LA, Los Angeles City Council Member Tim McOsker. Councilman, wow. Councilman was about to go hug the flag. I appreciate it. But appreciate the council member representing Pedro, lifelong resident of San Pedro, representing Wilmington, Harbor Gateway, and Watts, and our voice in City Hall for the better part of your 30 years of public service. Really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember McOsker.
Thank you so much. My name is Tim McOsker, and I'm the councilman of the 1-5. And I say it everywhere, so I'm going to say it here. What is the 1-5? Yeah, thank you for cheering for the 1-5. We used to be the 15th Council District. Now we are one district, 5 beloved communities. And together, we represent Watts and Harbor Gateway and Wilmington and Harbor City and my hometown of San Pedro. And we are here in San Pedro, which I think of as the gateway north to the rest of our beautiful district, Watts to the waterfront, but really also San Pedro, Wilmington, and this waterfront is also the gateway to the rest of the world, which you know about that far better than I know about that. And it's important for us to appreciate the role that you all play in world trade and in our local economy. You're going to hear a million times over and over again, as well you should, about how this operation, this San Pedro Bay Ports Complex, is responsible for 1 in 9 jobs in LA County. 1 in 9 jobs in LA County. And think about what's happening in LA County right now. Our hearts and our minds and our attention go to those folks that are suffering from the fires. Some of you may have suffered from those fires. We've lost life, and we've lost property, we've lost economic opportunity. We will have a long recovery. We will have a long recovery. And what do we need in a long recovery? We need a strong port complex. We need a strong port complex. And so I want to hear for you all right now, for your diverse interest. You are responsible for a San Pedro Bay complex that is going to help bring Los Angeles back to exactly where it needs to be. Let's hear for you all. I want to hear a clap. And what else do we need? We need to make sure that we're continuing to steward this environment. And you are on the forefront, your efforts, and you're going to hear a lot more from our executive director about all of your efforts collectively to make sure that we are stewarding our environment. We're going to need to make sure that we continue to have this planet for future generations. and that we do something to curb what is the incidence of a hotter and drier Los Angeles, a hotter and drier region. And I know you can do it. I know you can do it. And at the same time, you're going to do it while preserving jobs. While preserving jobs, because we all say that it's a false dichotomy to say that we have to choose between the environment and good jobs. We need to make sure as we're improving this environment that we're hanging on to these great jobs and building great jobs, because our local economy, our regional economy, our world economy, and Los Angeles needs you and blesses you, and thank you for all of your hard work. Welcome to the 1-5. I'm so glad you're here, and thank you to the PMSA for inviting me back. Have a great lunch.
Thank you, Council Member. You're more than welcome every year. Before we get to lunch, I'd like to thank all of you for attending, and I'd like to specifically thank all 42 sponsors of today's event. Without your support, this event will not be possible, would not be successful, and in a very turbulent world with a lot of variables out there, this is one place where we can all get together. We know every single year we'll see colleagues and folks in the industry supporting our communities. The proceeds from this event, as many of you know, have gone for the last 10 years to two very important local nonprofits that are doing amazing work in this community. It's EXP and the International Seafarers Center. EXP was founded about 20 years ago by LA Harbor Commissioner Carol Rowan, and it's an educational nonprofit. It's focused on mentorship and internship and creating career opportunities and pathways for youth in Southern California. And the goal is really to expose those future members of our industry to careers that they didn't know existed, the jobs that are out there, and to make sure they're aware of goods movement, the supply chain, and the port community. And with us today is EXP CEO, Ms. Tran. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today. Appreciate the partnership. In addition to EXP, this event also has proceeds going to the International Seafarers Center and supporting the center in its goals of supporting mariners at sea when they come into our port complex. Some 35,000 mariners every single year get served through the International Seafarers Center. They are oftentimes, unfortunately, a forgotten component of our international trade system, and the International Seafarers Center is there to let them know they're not forgotten and to help them with their needs. And joining us today is the chair of the board of the Seafarers Center, Mr. Guy Fawkes. And thank you again to all the sponsors. Because of your generosity and your attendance at this event, over the last 10 years, we have been able to raise over $300,000 for these two charities. And that is a credit to all of you in the room. Thank you very much for that. And unfortunately, as all of you know, this is not going to be the focus of our event this afternoon, just on these two charities. You all know on your table, you've seen them. We've kept these Keep LA Strong cards on these tables for you to take a look at. And please consider making some donations to the recovery from these fires and also preparedness for future LA fires. All of our hearts go out to folks who've been impacted. Everyone in this room knows what resilience is. We've worked on that for 4 years. And resilience is about cascading resources to where they need to happen the most. And in the firefighting community, that's a concept called mutual aid. And when you have mutual aid, you have a force multiplier, and the force multiplier is the people around you that know what you're doing and that you need to do it well. You don't have the resources to do it at that time. We ask you to use these QR codes, be that force multiplier, provide that mutual aid. It's really easy to do. I did it this morning when we were putting these cards out on the table. But in the face of this devastation, we have the opportunity to come together as a community, support the city of LA, support the citizens of LA, support your community and your neighbors, both in recovery and preparedness. So every contribution, no matter the size, is really helpful. Thank you. We appreciate that in advance. And before we move directly to lunch, and I know people are looking forward to hearing from our two platinum sponsors, as are we. We've been blessed with having both UP Railroad and BNSF Railway as platinum sponsors this year, and we'd like to share a short video from UP before lunch, and if we could run that now, that would be fantastic. Thank you.
When a bold team rises on machines of steel and gold, buffed and buffered with passion and pride, we become the fleet. We rise to defy all obstacles and to beat all odds, knowing winning is the pursuit of what is possible. Building bridges and scaling mountains, we weather frost and fire. Connecting at the intersection of imagination and innovation, we are Union Pacific. Our strategy, safety, service, and operational excellence is our key to growth. To be the best at safety, we look out for each other. We carry goods with courage and care for customers counting on us, safeguarding communities depending on us, ensuring everyone makes it home. To deliver the service we sold our customers, we bring food and fuel to nourish the land, grow economies, heat homes and hearths. We energize industries, moving construction cargo, chemicals, petroleum, and plastics. We transport transportation, hauling finished vehicles and their parts for all major manufacturers. We move the world, serving all 6 major gateways, leading service to and from Mexico, sustainably connecting our continent with commerce from across the globe. We do this with operational excellence, powered by predictable precision, speed, reliability, and resilience. We are thoughtful about asset utilization, empowering those closest to the work to make the best decisions. We exercise cost control, spending resources wisely with a buffer for the unexpected. We know people make everything possible and engage our teams and stakeholders, listening to their needs and investing in their success. We are legend and legacy, steam and dreams, made of the engines that shaped our nation. We are one fleet. Born from steel and powered by will, we carry the weight of the freight that fuels our world. We are Union Pacific.
Thank you, UP. Appreciate it. Please enjoy your lunch, and we'll be back in about 15 minutes. Hope everyone is enjoying their lunch. We're going to keep our program running with a video from our second platinum sponsor, BNSF Railway. If we could have everyone's attention, please. If you could please sit down and direct your attention to the video for our second platinum sponsor, BNSF Railway. Certainly appreciate that. Thank you.
30% of the international containers brought into the U.S. arrives through the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach. With this continuous flow of traffic and increasing demand at the ports and in the Inland Empire, there is an opportunity to create new jobs in the high desert, improve efficiency, and increase sustainability. The BNSF Railway Barstow International Gateway, or BIG, offers an opportunity to move cargo directly from the ports to its destination quickly and safely. With BIG, international containers will be loaded from ships onto BNSF trains to Barstow, located approximately 130 miles from the ports, instead of being trucked. Containers will arrive at the state-of-the-art facility to be processed, where there will be more than 500,000 feet of track space and on-site warehouses. With sufficient capacity, the incoming containers from the ports will be transferred by hybrid electric cranes directly onto a waiting chassis within the facility. The containers will be transported through the facility via battery electric hostlers into the logistics park section of the facility, where they will ultimately be transloaded in the millions of available square feet of on-site integrated warehouses into domestic containers in preparation for further rail movement across North America. The domestic containers will then be positioned for an outbound train to destinations across our network, and the empty international containers will be returned back via train to the ports. While these domestic containers are being built into outbound trains, international containers for lower density markets are also simultaneously being brought into the switching yard in preparation for outbound trains as well, ultimately allowing for denser trains entering the network. With these denser trains comes more efficiency and consistency to getting freight on time to its destination. As the containers move east, they will enter the rest of the BNSF network, supporting Southern California's ports, the local and national supply chain, and the economy.
Thank you again to BNSF. We're looking forward to BIG moving forward very, very quickly and very soon. Now it's my pleasure to introduce the Deputy Mayor of the City of Los Angeles for Business and Economic Development, Rachel Freeman. Since her appointment in February 2023, the Deputy Mayor has been at the forefront of several initiatives. In addition to working directly with the Port of LA, she also works with the airports and with other investors, with business groups, and she's really focused on tackling the affordable housing problem in Southern California. Under Rachel's leadership, she's also led initiatives with respect to streamlining business permitting and reducing the costs and the processes for starting a business in the city of LA. Prior to joining the city, Ms. Freeman was also the Vice President of Tejon Ranch Company, and we'd like to welcome her to the stage, Deputy Mayor Freeman.
All right, thank you so much, and good afternoon, everyone. My name again, Rachel Freeman. I have the honor of serving the City of Los Angeles as Deputy Mayor for Business and Economic Development. And it is such a pleasure to be here with you all today to acknowledge and uplift the incredible work that you do. I want to start by saying that Mayor Bass sends her regrets that she was not able to be here today due to the ongoing devastating wildfires and her key leadership role in the emergency response. She had asked me to attend in her stead. And this unprecedented natural disaster really demands an unprecedented response. A response that will expedite the rebuilding of homes, impacted businesses, and restore communities as we begin to heal from the trauma from this devastating tragedy. And this international gateway is going to be an integral part of moving goods as we begin the rebuild process for Angelenos. With an eye towards recovery, Mayor Bass has announced a suite of executive emergency orders which are setting in motion the steps to clearing the way through bureaucracy, cutting the red tape to organize around urgency, common sense, and compassion. We will be doing everything that we can as a city family to get Angelenos back home. I also want to thank everyone in this room and the many of you for the outpouring of support and generosity as we begin to enter into the rebuild and recovery phase of this effort. This is America's port, the busiest port in the Western Hemisphere, the Port of Los Angeles. And as we keep our eye towards the long-term economic recovery, we need to continue to grow our cargo volume and increase that up while keeping our emissions down at the same time, so we can meet our clean air goals for the city and for the community, and I want to thank you all for your work in that effort. I want to begin by thanking and acknowledging the PMSA for hosting this annual gathering for the so many years that you've done this. I want to do a special acknowledgement to Mike Jacobs, who's celebrating his 1 year at the helm of PMSA, and with his 20 years of expertise with PMSA, he is absolutely the right person to lead this association. And of course, I want to thank all of the members of the ILWU, from the casuals to the leadership of all the San Pedro Bay locals. You are the ones who get this job done, and we are indebted and in deep gratitude to the work that you do every day. When the mayor took office, she knew that she needed a strong board of harbor commissioners, and that starts with the leadership. So she tapped her former colleague and trusted friend, former Congresswoman Lucille Roybal Allard, who got things done in Washington. Would you please stand? Thank you, President Roybal Allard, for everything that you do. And she also tapped Speaker Emeritus John Perez to be vice president. Unfortunately, he was not able to be here with us today, but let's give him a round of applause. Commissioners Ed Renwick and Lee Williams, could you please stand? Thank you for your service and thank you for the work that you do. And a special warm welcome to our newest commissioner, Yolanda De La Torre, who is of the community, who will bring with her, please stand, who will bring with her deep expertise in her work, not only in living, but also working within the community. So thank you and welcome to the board. And thank you all for taking the time to be here today. The mayor would also like to recognize former Congresswoman Grace Napolitano, a steward and stalwart supporter of the port, who ensured that we got our fair share in Washington. Please give her a round of applause. We talk about the 1 in 9 jobs that support the region, but it's bigger than that. Of the 1.4 million jobs nationwide, the Port of Los Angeles and the work that we do here represents 1% of all the jobs here in the US. And that's just on the cargo side. Let's take a moment to look at our cruise business, which is also showing robust growth as we look towards 2025. It's going to be a fantastic year. And the economic benefits of the cruise industry doesn't just stop at the streets of San Pedro and Wilmington, it's really just where it begins. It brings in hundreds of millions of dollars across the city and the region. What we've been building here is truly amazing. The investment in the waterfront has been like nothing we have seen before. There is so much for the public to do and see, from great restaurants, captivating events like Fleet Week, and the opportunity for families just to walk and peruse the promenade. The mayor cannot wait to see phase 1 of the West Harbor project when that opens later this year, and neither can I. And here's the thing, with all of us working together collaboratively the port, the terminals, the shipping lines, and the dock workers, we drove our productivity up, and at the same time, we drove emissions down to record low levels. In the last 2 years, the mayors and others have worked hard for the City of Los Angeles to secure nearly $1 billion in grants from the EPA to reduce pollution. And half of that is coming right here to the Port of Los Angeles to fund our ongoing transition to zero emissions on the docks, the rails, and the roads. We're setting the standard here for environmental stewardship in the maritime industry, and we're not only doing it on the docks, but in the streets, with a community-led $50 million zero emissions grant in partnership with the Harbor Community Benefits Foundation that will focus on benefiting frontline disadvantaged areas. Air quality is also incredibly important to the mayor and this administration, and protecting fence-line communities in this region is a priority. The mayor is very clear on her approach to getting things done. She does that through locking arms and by focusing on protecting jobs and cleaning up the air. And we can do both at the same time, but only in a collaborative approach with both our private sector partners and our regulators. And that is why the mayor and her administration support the development of a ZE master plan under the framework of an enforceable agreement. And all of this is to help recognize and to realize the investment that we're putting in to the Department of Water and Power, with an investment of $500 million that will go towards upgrading the electrical grid, so that we'll have the power to charge all of the EV trucks and equipment and shoreside power that's needed for this effort. And let me give a shout out again to the longshore workers themselves. At the end of the day, you are the ones that keep things moving, and we appreciate it, and the mayor definitely appreciates you. So thank you. And there's one more person who is critical to moving things forward, and that is Gene Soroka, the executive director of the best darn port in the world. This is a leader who doesn't just run things from his desk or an ivory tower. Gene is highly effective. He rolls his sleeves up and he gets the job done. He commands the respect of the industry and has the full trust and support of the administration. Last year, he traveled to Asia 7 times, Europe twice, and has been all over the country, particularly in Sacramento and Washington, D.C., talking about the things that we do here and why they're so important. And in doing that, he has become a true voice of the industry for the U.S. and for the world. And so it is my pleasure, on behalf of Mayor Karen Bass, to please welcome Executive Director Gene Soroka. Thank you.
Wow, this is something. Take a look at this audience, our biggest yet. Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Freeman. We're so glad to have you here today representing Mayor Bass, and we deeply appreciate everything that the Mayor's office does for the city and the Port of Los Angeles. I also want to thank you, Mike Jacob, and congratulate you on taking the helm in your anniversary at the Pacific Merchant Shipping Association. The Port is grateful for all the PMSA does, including this incredible event. As Mike mentioned, today's proceeds will benefit EXP and the International Seafarers Center. After today, we will have raised more than $300,000 over 10 years for these two great organizations. Welcome, everyone. A special hello to former Congresswoman Grace Napolitano and council member from Los Angeles, Tim McCosker. along with our Harbor Department staff, colleagues, friends. I'd also like to recognize our harbor commissioners, beginning with President Lucille Roybal-Allard, John Perez, who unfortunately can't make it, but I'm told he's watching the streaming event right now, Commissioners Lee Williams and Ed Renwick. Thank you all. And let's offer a special warm welcome to our newest commissioner, Yolanda Delatorre. Commissioner, we're honored to have you with us on the Harbor Commission. It is this board's leadership that guides the progress and success of our port. Thank you. Before we begin, I'd like to take this moment to acknowledge the devastating wildfires that continue to sweep through Los Angeles County. The impacts of these fires remain heavy in our hearts and minds today, and we mourn the lives lost and extend our deepest gratitude to the first responders who are risking everything to save so many. We stand in solidarity with the thousands who've witnessed the devastation of their homes, their neighborhoods, their places of worship. And I know many of us have friends and family who have been profoundly affected by this tragedy. As we move forward, we're reminded of the incredible resilience of the people of Los Angeles. Together, as a city, county, and region, we will unite to rebuild what has been lost. With confidence in our leaders and ourselves, I have no doubt we will emerge from this challenge even stronger. To support this effort, one of our own, Rodolphe Sade, CEO and chair of CMA CGM in Marseille, France, this week donated $1.5 million to the American Red Cross and the Los Angeles Fire Department's fund to assist with the recovery. Thank you, Rodolphe. Building on this spirit of community, let's turn our attention to the state of the port and the many developments on the horizon that will shape our future. You know, it's hard to believe that last June marked my 10th anniversary here at the Port of Los Angeles. Before I came here, I had a long career in the private sector, and I had a lot of experience with ports. Well, let me tell you, running the busiest port in the country has been an entirely different experience. One that started with being a good listener, and here I am, 10 years later, still listening. There have been many things I learned along the way, things I didn't know, but I do know this. I know how much we've done together over the past decade, and I know how much each of your organizations has contributed. Whether you've been with us since 2014 or you're just starting out today, I know the vital role that each of you play in making this port what it is today, and I'm so proud to be on your team. When I think about what we do here, I see it through three key lenses that help us focus on what truly matters: people, planet, and performance. Let's start with that first lens, people. As people of the port, we're more than just individuals. We're colleagues, we're communities, and our connections are those that help shape our success. The second lens is planet. We all benefit from a healthier environment, so we must focus on the practices that help enhance our community's quality of life. And the final lens is performance. The health of our people and planet is directly tied to our ability to perform effectively, to serve the needs of our customers, our communities, and our country. These three lenses are deeply connected and set the stage for what I'd like to talk about today. So let's start by delving a little bit deeper into what I believe is the most important one: people. To begin, let's talk about the amazing people at the Harbor Department of Los Angeles. Now, You might picture employees at the port as either tough guys in overalls or businessmen in suits. And trust me, we have plenty of both. But let's shine a light on the hardworking women who make up over 35% of our workforce, many in leadership roles. And this all starts at the top with Mayor Karen Bass, the first woman to serve as mayor of Los Angeles. Our Harbor Commission, as stated, is also led by a woman and another former member of Congress, Lucille Roybal Allard. Our Deputy Executive Director of Development, Dina Arian Zalen, oversees 4 port divisions and manages a multi-year budget of $2.7 billion. And joining our leadership team just last year is Erica Calhoun, Deputy Executive Director of Harbor Administration and Finance, and our Executive Officer. 2024 also brought the addition of Kathy Tanaka, our new Director of Human Resources, and Cecilia Moreno, a former Wilmington community advocate who is now our Director of All Community Relations. All these women are driving progress here in our harbor. For example, the $73 million Pier 400 on-dock rail expansion was completed almost exclusively by a team of women professionals. And our recent $36 million Town Square and Promenade Phase 1 project was led entirely by women engineers. It's worth noting that across the country, women make up less than 17% of all engineers. Yet here at the Port of Los Angeles, 37% of our engineering workforce are women, more than double the national average. Maybe that's why WTS International's LA chapter, an organization dedicated to advancing women in transportation, just recognized the Port of Los Angeles as their Employer of the Year. And of course, equally vital to our success are the dedicated individuals working on our docks. The women and men of the International Longshore and Warehouse Union, along with truckers and other waterfront workers, are the heartbeat of this port. The ones who load and unload ships and move cargo in and out of our gateways. Without their commitment and hard work, nothing gets done. We truly appreciate them all so much. To enhance their skills and careers, the port has launched several important initiatives. This past May, we helped the ILWU and PMA open a maintenance and repair training center on Terminal Island. This $16 million facility offers programs to reskill and upskill ILWU workers. We're committed to ensuring every worker has the skills to thrive in a safe environment. That's why we're also developing the Goods Movement Training Facility, together with the Port of Long Beach, the ILWU, PMA, and the California Workforce Development Board. Thanks to California Governor Gavin Newsom's leadership and vision, when this facility welcomes its first class, it will be the only workforce training center in the United States dedicated to the goods movement sector. As we look to the future, we recognize the potential of students eager to make a difference in our world. And we want them to find meaningful opportunities right here at the port. That's why today I'm so proud to announce 2 educational partnerships. The first is with UCLA, the nation's top-ranked public university. It's going to expand our collaboration in advancing clean technology. Our goal is to invest in our people and improve operational efficiencies, both here at the port and at UCLA's South Bay campus on the Palos Verdes Peninsula. Thank you to Darnell Hunt, Steve Yu, and Alex Spatteroo for getting us across the goal line. The second partnership is with the California Community College System. With over 2 million students across 116 colleges, it's the largest higher education system in the country. Our aim is to equip these students with the education and skills needed for decarbonization and environmental stewardship. This partnership will keep local colleges updated on emerging technologies and prepare students for evolving job opportunities in our industry. My hope is that one day some bright student in one of these classes will discover the excitement of living and working here at the port and eventually find themselves in my office doing this job. Now that will be a great day. While we're focused on helping students succeed, we're also dedicated to the people in our neighborhoods. Look at our waterfront and what we as a community have built for the community in just the last 10 years. More than 4 miles of waterfront promenades, 120 acres of public open space that have been created. We've done that with port-issued community investment grants, along with funding from state and federal governments. We've done it with neighborhood councils and chambers of commerce, with more than $12 million in port-funded grants to 374 local organizations over the past decade. And we've done it with the Public Access Investment Plan. That fund has raised nearly $500 million from port revenues for these projects. What a waterfront we've built. Just last February, we cut the ribbon on the Wilmington Waterfront Promenade, and soon we'll break ground on the Avalon Pedestrian Bridge and Promenade Gateway. When completed, it will finally connect the community of Wilmington to their waterfront for the first time in over a century. People now come from around the block and around the world for events like Fleet Week, Cars and Stripes Forever, Sail GP, and the Amerigo Vespucci Italian Navy vessel, which gave us a week-long celebration of Italian culture. Plus, the port has recently invested over $90 million in the San Pedro Promenade to prepare West Harbor for its opening, which will feature 42 acres of land and waterfront with 150,000 square feet of shops and restaurants with more room to grow. We're also excited about those plans for a 6,200-seat amphitheater with the Nederlander organization. And after decades on the San Pedro waterfront, the beloved San Pedro Fish Market, California's busiest restaurant, just signed a new 49-year lease. Congratulations to the Amalfitano and Ungaro families. Thank you for your trust in this port. On top of all that, this past November, we released a request for interest, a public bid, for the restoration of Warehouse 1, the Los Angeles landmark that's more than a century old. And we've helped the USS Iowa secure nearly $7 million in state funding for their proposed Freedom of the Seas Park and Pavilion. These initiatives not only enhance our waterfront, but strengthen our community's ties to this vital resource. In 2024, we unveiled plans for the Outer Harbor Cruise Terminal, another waterfront landmark expected to attract millions of visitors each year. This long-term project is slated for completion by the year 2030. After that, we will focus on a major renovation right here at the World Cruise Center. Cruise activity at our port means a lot to our community. Everyone knows that when a cruise ship comes in, San Pedro buzzes with the excitement of visitors, eager to explore all our town has to offer. With each cruise, we see over $1.2 million in local payroll and business activity. In the last decade, we've doubled our cruise business, and this year is on track to be our best ever. Royal Caribbean is introducing 2 larger ships, which will offer more options to travelers while strengthening our partnership. And Princess Cruises will launch a new trip to Alaska this summer with even more cruises on tap for 2026. With more than 1.5 million cruise passengers expected this year alone, it's obvious our waterfront is thriving with life and energy. As we look forward, we must remember that this vibrancy is deeply rooted in the rich heritage and unique culture of our community. Those of you who saw The Smell of Money, the documentary by the port and local filmmaker Jack Barrich, know exactly what I'm talking about. Our history at the Port of Los Angeles and the surrounding communities is more than just ships, containers, and the old fishing industry. Our history is people. Generations of people whose lives have shaped this place. This waterfront is for them. You know, driving along Harbor Boulevard, the port's truly something to see. And walking along the promenades, it's even more impressive. But when you get a bird's eye view of what the people of the port have built on the LA waterfront, well, then that's when things really take flight.
Altasea is a 35-acre campus that has these 110-year-old, 180,000 square feet of warehouses that we have now renovated to be a modern blue economy technology hub.
Ciao.
Welcome to Crafted at the Port of Los Angeles. We are Southern California's largest handmade marketplace. We are open Friday, Saturday, Sunday, year-round.
We are going to create something really cool today. Wow, I love this.
West Harbor is really shaping up to be LA's premier waterfront dining, retail, recreation, and entertainment destination. You know, it stretches along a mile of the Port of Los Angeles' main channel. With that promenade, it's going to have waterside attractions. There's going to be something for everybody.
Welcome aboard Battleship Iowa in the Port of Los Angeles.
Great ball, Dave.
In 5 minutes, we got a snapshot of the incredible developments that span the 43 miles of our LA waterfront. Let's talk about our second lens, planet, and the work we're doing every day, not just to decarbonize the Port of Los Angeles, but to also influence ocean shipping around the world. We've long been a global leader in cleaning up ports and reducing pollution. 20 years ago, we were the first port in the world to plug a ship into shoreside power. Thanks to these initiatives and others, we've seen major reductions in emissions of all kinds in and around the port, leading a global movement toward cleaner air. So let's look at how our environmental efforts are paying off. The smokestacks you see on the left of the screen to where we are today, air emissions at the San Pedro Bay ports are at their lowest since we began measuring in year 2005. Of course, that represents the hard work of a lot of you here today, as well as major improvements in technology. But look at how far we've all come. We set ambitious goals back in 2005, and here's where we landed. We've exceeded each of these targets with DPM and NOx way below what we expected and committed to our communities. Overall, greenhouse gas emissions have dropped by 24%, and all that in a time when TEU count and our business has grown by 15%. This means we're now down to the last 9% of diesel particulate matter and the last 2% of sulfur oxides from anything with an engine that moves through our gateway. To put all this in perspective, these reductions are the equivalent of taking nearly 5.5 million cars off the road. But here's the thing. Our goal isn't fewer emissions, it's zero emissions. Through the Clean Truck Program, we're ramping up the number of ZE trucks in service. Right now, we have nearly 500 operating at the ports, along with a growing fleet of dockside tractors, top handlers, and other equipment. And thanks to the efforts of so many, over the last 3 years, we've received nearly $1 billion in federal and state funding. That is our best run ever, and the highlight being the unprecedented $412 million EPA grant that was announced just a few months ago. It will cover ZE equipment and terminal upgrades. With over $230 million in matching funds from the port and our terminal operators, the total investment will exceed $640 million. And listen to this list. It will allow us to deploy 250 zero-emission trucks and replace diesel equipment on our docks with 424 ZE units supported by 300 new charging stations. Plus, we're working on securing funding that will help the Union Pacific Railroad purchase and develop a new zero-emissions locomotive for short-distance hauling within the port. And to boost community engagement, we've partnered with the Harbor Community Benefits Foundation to ensure that key parts of this program benefit our local communities and neighborhoods. We thank the EPA and our congressional delegation, especially Representative Nanette Barragan, for their unwavering support in establishing the EPA Clean Ports Program. And of course, we greatly appreciate the South Coast Air Quality Management District and all the members of our environmental justice and community groups for their advocacy in securing this funding for Los Angeles. Deepening our commitment to sustainability, the Hydrogen Hub project aims to secure $100 million to the San Pedro Bay ports through a grant from the U.S. Department of Energy. Last May, Houston Terminals launched the world's first hydrogen-fueled rubber tire gantry crane. Meanwhile, Phoenix Marine Services, in collaboration with Toyota, is testing a retrofit hydrogen-powered top handler that can operate 20 hours on a single charge of fuel. These projects not only transform our port, they also set a global standard, proving that economic growth and environmental stewardship can go hand in hand. We're also making progress beyond hydrogen. Houston recently deployed 5 Taylor electric top handlers, while Everport is running 2 electric top handlers as part of an $8 million advanced cargo handling demonstration project. At this point, every container terminal either has ZE equipment in use or is actively planning for future ready fleets. Given the introduction of all this equipment, we recognize the need to ramp up our electrical capacity. So we've teamed with the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power on a $500 million upgrade to help us scale our battery electric equipment and provide reliable power to our terminals and partners. In order to meet our zero emissions targets, we must expand our infrastructure to accommodate additional electric cargo handling equipment, EV charging stations, and overall operations. With these efforts underway, we also advanced our maritime initiatives this past year. We've joined forces with 8 different ports in China, Singapore, Japan, and Vietnam to develop green shipping corridors aimed at decarbonizing the vessel side of our industry. Collaborations like these will demonstrate the safety and feasibility of deploying the world's first zero-carbon life cycle container ship by the year 2030. As a measure of how far we've come, last summer, we welcomed the first U.S. visit of the Alete Maersk, the first ever green container vessel capable of running on carbon-neutral e-methanol fuel. This is how we serve our planet. By collaborating as a port community and contributing to a global effort to build a cleaner world. We're pushing the boundaries of what's possible because that's the only way to secure lasting progress. We talked about people whose lives and communities we work to improve. We talked about the planet that we're committed to protecting on our journey to zero emissions. Now let's talk about our performance as a port and how far we've come. Ladies and gentlemen, today we celebrate a remarkable milestone. 25 years, a quarter century as the busiest container port in the Western Hemisphere. This achievement is a testament to our shared dedication and hard work. Today, I'm also proud to announce that in 2024, the Port of Los Angeles moved 10.3 million container units. That's the second best year in our 117-year history of the Port of Los Angeles, and nearly a 20% increase in cargo volume over 2023. In fact, we moved 1.7 million more container units last year, which is the largest incremental year-on-year gain that we've ever seen. And thanks to all of you, we moved that cargo efficiently and without a single ship backed up. That's the kind of traffic that's driven here. And it's because of a strong U.S. economy with robust imports and exports. The best labor force, bar none, in the world on the docks and on the roads. Significant investments by our two great Western railroads, the Union Pacific and BNSF Railway, to efficiently accommodate increased cargo in and out of the San Pedro Bay. Unparalleled infrastructure and great data drive even better performance. 10 years ago, we launched a first-of-its-kind cybersecurity operations center. Since then, we've remained leaders in enhancing digital security and online tools. At the heart of our data improvements is the Port Optimizer, co-developed with Wabtec and launched back in 2017. It's a one-stop information portal that helps get goods to market in a more predictable and timely manner. Today, we provide more comprehensive real-time data through secure channeled access than any other port in North America. Each year, we add new features, and today, we have an announcement that we're very proud of. We've successfully launched phase 1 of a universal truck appointment system. This system gives drivers a single user interface to schedule appointments at our terminals, improving workflow and the lives of our 20,000 truckers. It was introduced just 8 weeks ago, and we're already seeing positive results. As part of an $8 million grant from the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, we're already developing phase 2 of this system. This phase will integrate appointment systems at both the Port of LA and the Port of Long Beach. Leveraging real-time tracking data from the Port Optimizer, our customers will enjoy an even simpler and more seamless experience. Now that is an impressive use of data. Everything we do to speed containers through our port pays off. Because for every 4 containers we move, we create a new job. Over the last 10 years, longshore labor registration has increased 27%. And that's why these next 2 projects make such a difference. First, the On-Dock Rail project I mentioned earlier, developed by our talented female engineering team on APM's Pier 400 terminal, will enable greater efficiency and increased volume across a wide variety of inland locations. That's according to John Poma, who oversees APM's Los Angeles operations. And now we have a similar project breaking ground at Phoenix Marine's Pier 300. My good friend George Goldman, CEO of CMA CGM North America, the parent of Phoenix, noted that this rail expansion will enhance capacity for future growth, allowing both the Port of LA and Phoenix to compete for even more cargo. Ultimately, both these initiatives bolster job creation while ensuring our commitment to sustainability. Now let's turn to a topic we've talked about for years: the deepwater ports of Long Beach and Los Angeles and the disparity between what we contribute to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers Harbor Maintenance Trust Fund and what we get back. Importers pay a tax on cargo to fund waterway maintenance projects, and ports like ours would contribute about half the money into the fund, but only see about 3% in return. So recently retired Congresswoman Grace Napolitano and many others started advocating for an equitable distribution of those funds. Now, after more than a decade, we're seeing a fair return. Just last year, we received a record $60 million in federal funding from the HMTF, which we can now use under Dina's leadership for critical infrastructure needs. A huge thank you to Congresswoman Napolitano for what you've done for all of our California ports. And we must keep advocating for this funding each and every year. And I promise you, Congresswoman, we will keep up the fight. Thank you. The last 3 years have seen the largest public investment that we've ever experienced at the Port of LA. And we believe this is just the beginning. Because as Lakers legend Kobe Bryant once said, job's not finished. Today, a significant challenge facing the Port of Los Angeles and our industry as a whole is the ever-changing global landscape. Our ability to adapt was highlighted last year with the Red Sea attacks, drought conditions in the Panama Canal, and labor negotiations on the East and Gulf coasts. In Washington, the new administration is talking about more tariffs and trade constraints. This post-globalization era is creating new headwinds that we must navigate. And I promise you, we will knock on every door in Washington and share the benefits of this great Port of Los Angeles to anyone and everyone who will listen. We will give it an honest effort because we need that strong federal and local partnership. Closer to home, we're also facing challenges. The Vincent Thomas Bridge will soon undergo resurfacing, a project that's expected to take 16 months. This will slow down traffic, cause some inconvenience, get people's blood pressure up, but ultimately the improvements will benefit us all. We have to work together now more than ever. Shipping lines, terminal operators, our workforce, communities, and all other links of the supply chain must keep advocating for the work that's done here locally. In a rapidly changing world, our industry is uniquely positioned to lead the way for a more prosperous, secure, and healthy future. With state-of-the-art equipment, streamlined operations, and expanded capacity, we're setting the stage for tremendous growth over the next decade and beyond. Of course, it's one thing to talk about it. It's quite another thing to see it in action. We broke 10 million TEUs again last year. We got a great team. Everybody's moving in the same direction. Let's make sure we're well positioned to take 2025 to the next level. It is going to be a great year. How about that? In just over 2 minutes, we saw all the great people and companies that keep this economic engine running every day. This last decade has been transformative. And the next 10 years could bring more dramatic changes than we've ever seen before. Even so, it's up to us to keep our promises. 10 years from now, we'll need to deliver on the commitments we've made to our communities: better education, better jobs, and a revitalized waterfront. We owe that to the people. 10 years from now, we need to meet our zero emissions goals to ensure a sustainable future. We owe that to the planet. And 10 years from now, we need to fulfill our commitment to improving performance in everything we do. Most leaders tend to focus on today's problems and next quarter's numbers. But if you run a port, you need to keep your eye on the long road ahead. And sometimes you can see the future by looking into the past. Over 40 years ago, the legendary Easy Burtz came in to run this port. He took some heat because he didn't have a lot of experience, but that turned out to be an advantage. See, he didn't come in with all the right answers, but he did come in with all the right questions, the ones nobody was asking. And that changed the port forever. Let's learn from him. Let's ask more questions, better questions. What do our communities need from us? What do Angelenos need? What does the Golden State need? Over the last decade, we've uncovered at least some of these answers. They need creativity, a focus on the future, a great place to live and work, and innovative thinking that helps us create a more sustainable world. People, planet, and performance. It's up to all of us to create a port that's better for people, better for the planet, and better for performance. Together, we can write this script. This is Los Angeles after all. So I know we can make this a great story. I still run to work every day after 10 years because I have the privilege of saying, on behalf of the 915 hardworking employees at the Harbor Department of Los Angeles, thank you all. Let's have another sensational year.
Thank you very much, Gene. Congratulations on the last decade, and congratulations to the entire port staff. Just in closing, I'd also like to say thank you again to the Deputy Mayor for your comments today and for the charge of collaboration. We embrace that, and we thank you for coming and asking us to do that with you. I want to say, again, in closing, thank you to some folks, including Ports America. This is their facility. Thank you very much, Ports America, for hosting us today. We greatly appreciate the hard work of the staff from the Port of Los Angeles. Really, the team led by Philip Sandfield, Stephen Lay, Sheila, Celia, dozens of construction and management and maintenance folks, and of course the port police personnel that are here today. If we could give them all a round of applause. Thank you. I'd like to thank the members of the PMSA board that are here, the member companies, PMSA staff, especially our external affairs manager, Natasha Villa, and Michelle Grubbs. Thank you. And we couldn't have done things, including processing over 650 people without the volunteers from EXP. Thank you, EXP, for having the volunteers today. And obviously the catering staff, everyone else that helped today. But really, honestly, I think the thing I want to leave with is thank you to all of you for making 2024 a fantastic year. This has been an amazing year. we're looking forward to 2025 being even better. And in the face of uncertainty, we all know that the community here is committed to whatever lies ahead, doing it in the best way possible. Jane, thank you for being the leader and being the face of that for us across the entire country and the world. We appreciate it. Thank you. And then lastly, on your way out, don't forget to grab parking validation and a glass that is a commemorative glass. Thank you very much. We appreciate it. Have a great 2025. We'll see you next year.